And we've surveyed the people that live on Highfields. There's some nearly 200 houses on that development. And what has happened with the developers not being prepared to pay the money across to the local authority to take up the landscaping is that random charges have been levied on all of the residents. So the first year they ranged from £150 to £234. In the second year, 2012-13, it ranged from 190 to 398, and the most recent ranges from 270 to £441. Now that last increase is some 60%, and it's unacceptable. The residents were aware that they had to pay some service charge because it was incorporated in the deeds for most of the people, but the Per Simons group of houses that were built there did not have that incorporated, so those people don't pay it. So there's not even equality across all of the houses. But the point is that what we're saying and what we're seeking from this council is a different way of managing this, because every developer will think, I don't have to pay £105,000 so that the local authority picks up the cost of landscaping. They're all going to do it, and then you're not going to encourage people to come to this town, and we know that we want people to come to this town. A lot of the people who live on Highfields have come to this town because of what it offers. And these random charges, which is the only way I can describe them, are going to prevent that. One final thing, because I realise I've only got 3 seconds, I have prepared here a short paper which gives you some of the responses from the residents to our survey. Thank you. Must I? Okay.
Councillor James, a question to the Speaker?
I've got a couple of questions, but my first question is, if, because it's a significant amount of money, if a resident or an owner can't afford to pay it, sort of their circumstances change, at the moment in relation to council tax, there are benefits for people who are in a position that can't afford to pay it. What happens to people in that position, if they're in a position where they can't afford to pay that money?
Well, I don't know precisely, but I do know one resident who rebelled by not wishing to pay and ended up incurring a £60 late payment charge. I mean, effectively, they'll just get taken to court.
Just so I understand it, in relation to these pieces of land that you're talking about, are they closed off so that I can't walk on, they're paying a fee for this piece of land to be managed? Is it open to other people to use, or is it entirely for those people to use? Is it a garden for their sole use?
It might look that way, but anybody can walk onto the estate and go into those play areas or landscaped areas. I mean, the whole plan there is appalling, because there are no footpaths, because the road is the same as the footpath, and because of the number of cars that people have, mothers with pushchairs can't actually get out because the cars are all parked around their front doors almost. So they have to drag their pushchair across a number of gardens before they can find a gap to get out onto the... It's very, very badly drawn.
Councillor Behrman, then Councillor Mitchell.
Thank you, Chair. I just wish to ask, I've not got to the bottom of this sheet yet, but the very first one left me a little struggling, because it says park grass cut only half the park dug up. And could you just clarify what that's saying? What's been dug up and so on?
Without referring back to the resident, which I could do, I have no idea.
Oh, well, yeah, well, I sort of naively thought that one might interrogate a quote that's given and say, right, I'll try and do something about it if I understand what your problem is. But, okay, thank you.
Councillor Mitchell.
Yes, I was a bit surprised to hear about this issue. Any estate where I've been involved as an owner, where there's been a management company charging an annual rate to the residents, the management company has had to provide an annual report and accounts that demonstrate how it's spending this amount of money. And in one case, where we were collectively very unhappy with what we were getting for our money, we succeeded. I can't remember exactly how, because I wasn't on the committee that did this. I was just a happy supporter. We took over the management committee and did it ourselves. Can you just give me the background to how this management committee, I mean, presumably it must account for this phenomenal increase that it's charging in some way.
There was a public meeting held by the main developer, which is Barrett's, and their property management company, which are OM, at which OM tried to defend that they'd tendered for work and that was the best tender they could get. And they have since, or a number of the companies over the years have since produced some accounts. But that merely says how the money was spent. It doesn't actually evidence that the work was done, which it clearly hasn't been doing. And we've got a number of residents who are looking out to let us know, and the only thing we've seen so far this year is a bit of strimming. Certainly, the idea that the residents would take it over would find favour with them. That would find favour with them entirely. But you know, we can't advise them not to pay it. We'd have to negotiate with. I think the point is that it's a bigger issue than just Highfields. It's going to happen everywhere, and it's something that we really got to take seriously, because it's double taxation. You know, these people are quite fairly saying, I pay my council tax, but I've got to pay an extra £400 to have the grass cut badly.
Yep. Just to tease it, is there a residents' committee?
Not yet, but there will be, as we're sorting them out.
I appreciate that the council thing is a generalised issue, which we will get back to. I just wanted to tease out the particular situation so as to better understand the generality of it. I agree in principle that leaving the residents in this very messy situation is not clever, and ought not to be the way things happen. But how you fix that is something we have to put a bit more thought into. Do you have your own proposition of how the council should fix this problem? Not for Highfields, we'll come back to that perhaps, but I think it's down to you to fix it for Highfields, with councillors' help, hopefully, but in the generality, what action should the council take to stop it from happening in the future?
Well, I'm assuming, and I don't know this, but I would hope that some special clause could be put into any planning application that was agreed for any new development that says that it's mandatory for the council to pick up the landscaping charges after the estate has been built, and not be left to the developer to run wild. Now, if that's not possible, then we need to find another way, because it's, you know, we're thinking about building thousands of houses in this area, and people will want to come and live here, but they won't want to come and live here and be taxed twice.
Councillor Leake.
Did the residents enter into this agreement voluntarily, or were they forced to do so? And have you ever considered the position of rural residents who still suffer double taxation, and why should urban residents be any different from rural ones?
I think comparing rural to the town is really difficult. We've got a fairly unique situation in Basingstoke, with nearly half the residents living in the town and the other half living in a plethora of villages around the outside, and their issues are different. They do know, because their solicitors pointed out to them, it's in their deeds, except for the persimmon houses, as I mentioned earlier, because they forgot to put it in there, so they're not paying. They do know, but they don't know what that means. They do need a residents' association. We're going to encourage them to form one in the next couple of weeks, with a hope to go back to OM and to Barrett's and say we'll take it over ourselves.
Is it not a case of caveat emptor?
I think that's ridiculous.
Thank you very much.